The world's first global currency didn't come from banks or nation-states. It came from the Persian Empire, and it held a multinational economy together. This wasn't a small kingdom. This was the largest empire the world had ever seen up to that point, stretching from the Indus Valley to the Aegean Sea, across deserts, mountains, languages, religions, and cultures. And somehow, it worked for over 2 centuries, not through constant conquest alone, but through something far more fragile and far more powerful: money. Today's story isn't about famous battles or legendary kings. It's about how the Persian Empire solved a problem that modern superpowers still struggle with. How do you run a multinational economy with different peoples, different customs, and different ideas of money without tearing the system apart? And the answer might surprise you. Let me put this in modern terms. Imagine trying to run a single economic system across dozens of nations without a shared language, without a shared religion, without modern banks, without digital payments. Now imagine doing that 2,500 years ago. Most empires tried to force uniformity. Persia didn't, and that choice changed history. Which raises a question economists still debate today. Is control really more powerful than cooperation? To understand how Persia pulled this off, we need to go back to a king who thought very differently about power. How Persia built a multinational economy. The story begins with Cyrus the Great. Unlike many conquerors, Cyrus didn't rule through destruction. He ruled through integration. When Persia conquered new territories, it didn't erase local systems. It absorbed them. Local laws stayed. Local religions were respected. Local customs survived. And crucially, local economies kept functioning. This was revolutionary. Most empires broke what they conquered. Persia optimized it, the birth of a global currency. Under Darius I, Persia introduced one of history's most important innovations, a standardized gold coin called the daric. It wasn't the first coin ever made, but it may have been the first coin designed to function across an empire of many cultures. The daric was high-purity gold, consistent in weight, recognizable anywhere in the empire. In other words, it was trusted, and trust is the foundation of every global currency, ancient or modern. Here's the twist. Most people, Miss Persia did not force everyone to use Persian coins. This is the key insight. Local silver coins continued circulating. Barter systems still existed. Regional practices survived. The daric didn't replace local money. It connected them. Gold darics were used for paying imperial soldiers, funding large state projects, international trade, high-value transactions. Local economies handled everyday life. Persia didn't centralize everything. It layered the system, and that made it resilient. Infrastructure. The hidden economic weapon. Persia didn't just mint coins, it built systems. The famous royal road stretched thousands of miles. Goods moved faster. Information traveled quicker. Trade expanded. A merchant could move from Anatolia to Mesopotamia with imperial protection. And everywhere along the way, Persian money was recognized. This wasn't just an empire, it was an economic network. Why the system worked so well? 3 reasons explain Persia's success. First, monetary discipline. The gold daric remained stable and trusted. Second, administrative tolerance. Local systems weren't crushed. Third, economic realism. Persia understood that control doesn't require uniformity. This allowed trade to flourish across cultures. Greek merchants, Phoenician sailors, Babylonian bankers, Indian traders, all operating within a single imperial framework. Persia didn't demand sameness, it demanded reliability. But there's always a cost. Here's where tension enters the story. A system this large depends on balance, and balance is fragile. The empire relied heavily on gold inflows from tribute, trade, and conquest. Military campaigns were expensive. Court life was lavish. Administration was massive. As long as expansion and revenue continued, the system held. But what happens when expansion slows and costs remain? The limits of global money. Over time, pressures built. Later, Persian kings faced rebellions. Administrative corruption increased. Military expenses grew heavier. The system didn't collapse immediately, but cracks appeared. And here's the crucial lesson: Persia's economy was strong, but it depended on political stability. When trust in leadership weakened, economic cohesion followed. Why Persia ultimately fell. Persia didn't fall because of bad money. It fell because of political fragmentation and military defeat. But once central authority collapsed, the economic system couldn't survive on its own. Global currencies need more than gold. They need enforcement. legitimacy, stability. When those fade, money follows. The modern lesson. Here's why this ancient story matters today. The Persian Empire shows us that a global currency doesn't require cultural uniformity, economic integration works better than forced control, trust travels farther than armies. It also shows us the limits. Even the best economic system can't survive political collapse. So what really holds a global economy together? Metal or belief? Persia ran the ancient world not by erasing differences, but by managing them. Its currency didn't dominate, it connected, and that may be the most overlooked lesson in economic history.